If you are ready to grow your life and become consistent in that growth and not struggle with procrastination and stop struggling with self-doubt and all of the things that actually prevent you from making decisions to grow your life, then you're going to love this episode. I take my students through a life transformation process using the science of the Nafs Psychology and behavioral change framework. This is foundational to actually growing your life. It's based on the Quran and Sunnah. It is exactly what we use in the Muslim Life Coaching Institute, and I want to share it with you. I want to share 3 fundamental skills that if you begin to use immediately, you're going to overcome the fear of failure, you're going to overcome the procrastination, you're going to overcome the inconsistency, and you're going to get excited about your life. This is what I want for you. I want you to be excited about your life and actually start creating the results that you want. If that's what you want, you're going to love this episode. Stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to this week's episode of the podcast, folk. I want to give you something that's going to help you to change and create consistency in that change and actually grow your life to the point that you love what you're experiencing on a day-to-day basis. You see, if you go through life and you're always aiming for things and then you're always staying in overthinking and self-doubt and not taking any action, and you indulge in procrastination. Now, procrastination is happening because of the overthinking and the incessant negative thoughts that actually throw us into a state of negativity that makes us believe that maybe it's not possible. So then why bother even trying? And so what we do is that we follow through with the emotions and not what we wanted to do, not following through with our plans. And so this will always be an obstacle in your way. It's actually normal. And I want you to understand that this is not a problem that you're facing. This is a problem that every human being experiences. Speak to anyone that you know very well, who's going to be open with you and honest with you, and they'll tell you they've got similar challenges. They often overcome it by moving to action. And moving to action, what it actually requires is that we do things that we're not normally doing. Now, the problem with this is that when you have fear and self-doubt and your indecision is getting in your way, then what's going to happen is that you're not going to take action. I want to give you an example. I could give you my own example, but here's an example that you could probably resonate with. One of my students going through a process of transformation in his daily life, he struggles with change. And the change that he struggles with is not something that he didn't know was going to happen in his life, but because it comes unplanned almost, then what happens is that he struggles with this change because the minute the change happens, it could be as simple as, someone, throwing a surprise party. Now, in that situation, all of a sudden, he goes into panic mode because he goes straight into his mind and he starts to worry about how he's being perceived and whether he's doing the right thing and how he's going to catch up with what he had, planned or had in his mind. And what happens is that in that state, we start to become, apathetic. We start to become a little bit disappointed in ourselves. We start to feel disappointed in the people, and then maybe even frustrated and angry at ourselves and the people around us. When that happens, he will misbehave in the sense that he will sit there doing all of the things that he doesn't want to do. So he'll overeat, he will surf on the internet, just constantly just consuming stuff, looking for something to make him feel better. And really what we need for change is not to be sitting there as consumers. I mean, if you consume what I'm sharing with you here and you don't take action on it, and then you just go to the next video and the next video and the next video, and you're just forever consuming and not taking any action, then it's not going to create any real change. Change is not that difficult. Change just simply requires a number of things to get us moving initially. We need momentum. We need that kickstart just to get up and start. And when I say kickstart, I don't mean you need to be aggressive with yourself or give yourself a hard time. I mean that you need to gently push yourself into motion. You see, human beings, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, created us in this constant state of change. And this is why Allah says that we have been created in a state of almost anxiety. Innal insana khulika halua, like we're created almost in this state of discomfort, and you think that this is actually a bad thing. You, like most of us, we experience this discomfort, we experience this negative emotional experience, and we think that it means there's something wrong with our lives or something wrong with us. And actually what it does is that everyone experiences this, but what it does is that it pushes you to change. It pushes you to move. The problem comes when you sit in fear and you don't do anything. And when you sit in fear, the fear will actually stand as your obstacle. It's like an emotional barrier. And when it stands as your obstacle, what will happen is that you won't take action on the things that you want to do, even though you have this discomfort pushing you. And this is an essential part of life. Like, we need to be in motion. We need to be in movement, mentally, physically, spiritually, as in your connection to Allah has to always be in the development process. Like, developing means that, we're forever in this process. It doesn't mean that one day you arrive and that's it, everything is amazing and you never need to do it again. That is Jannah. As for this dunya is the adna makan, like the lowest of the place, meaning that this is the place that we sow the seeds. We actually set ourselves up for growth, and it's like once you sow the seeds in your life, then what's going to happen is that change starts to happen. The change is growth, and this is what we all want. When you don't get the growth, then what will happen is that you feel as though you're not getting what you want out of life. And when you don't get what you want out of life, you start to become upset, frustrated, resentful. You start to disbelieve in yourself. You start to question yourself and your abilities. And when we start to do this, then it will actually create a problem in our state of mind and emotions, which is ultimately a belief problem, right? So I want to give you 3 things that you can do to actually move yourself and get yourself started. But I want you to understand first before you move to the 3 things, because if you don't understand and you're just taking action, you're not knowing why you're doing it. And if you go off track, you don't even know you're off track. This is why it's so important to understand why we do what we do. You see, the fundamental change that needs to happen in any human being is the state of their mind and their heart. When you change the state of mind and heart, what happens is that all of the emotional experiences, the behaviors, and the results that we create in our lives all begin to change. And this is why in Revelation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed as the first of revelation, the revelation is Iqra, read. Read, why? Because essential knowledge is what's going to shape your mind and your heart. In the science of the Nafs Psychology, as I train my students, I always train them to understand that your mind is your heart. It is the heart, according to Quran, is a thinking organ. It is not just your brain. It's not an intellectual thing. Like an intellectual thing is like your, maybe it's the ability to decide between 2 different things. You can discern between things, and it's your intellectual ability to analyze. But the heart is what is driving your entire life. So if you are not deeply impacted by your own beliefs and you think that it's not creating the results that you want, then ultimately it's a mirror showing us that what we have here needs to change. And so this takes us on to number 1, what you need to do to actually create results. Like if you want to create results, the very first thing that you must do, and this is what I'm taking all of my students through. If you are a Science of the Nafs student, then this is something that you should be drumming into your mind, drumming into your life, and actioning it every single day. This is what we do in the certification process. This is what we do in the Muslim Life Coach Institute. I set this institute up for this very purpose. You must have, number 1, you must have a compelling vision of your future. Let me tell you what a compelling vision of your future is. the end result of your life, whether it be in a year's time or 5 years time or 10 years or 20 years, 50 years, or in Jannah, like, because ultimately your life span expands all the way to Jannah, inshallah. So that means the end result, it requires you to have very high aspirations. It has to be something that gets you excited. And because excitement is a compelling emotion, excitement will push you to action. Excitement will get you to jump out of bed. Think about this. When you were young and you were, you knew you were going on a day trip or you were going on a school trip or something's happening the next day and it's exciting and it's Eid or something is going on, like you would jump out of bed early in the morning and you wouldn't be able to sleep at night. And the reason for that was the excitement, the compelling vision of your future. The next stage, it's literally just the next day, has you jump out of bed. It has you excited about your life. And so what we need is that we need a compelling future. And it needs to be a year from now, like 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And it also needs to be in Jannah. Like, what is your compelling future in the short term, which is dunya, and the long term, which is akhirah? Like, you need to have a compelling future, because when you have that, it's going to help you build your career. It's going to help you like thrive in your business. It's going to help you to build amazing relationships. This is what we do. Like, we build amazing relationships. The only way to do this is to create this mental construct now at the beginning of your journey. This is why Iqra, read, is the first, because the knowledge, the information, like what I'm sharing with you now, is the knowledge, the information. Like, you need to take this information and it needs to be drilled into your mind. So as you do that, what's going to happen is that you will find yourself always getting back on track. If you go off track, you come back on track, because your compelling future will push you forward. Let me give you a personal example. I have spent, the best part of the last 30 years in formulating this science, in researching it, studying, the different sciences, Islamic sciences, going, traveling across the world, doing everything I could possibly do to find this, and not for the sake of, anyone else, but for the sake of me attaining this compelling future. And a part of that compelling future was that I want to take this thing and impact the world with it. And how could you possibly do that with anything man-made? The reality is that, you and I, we create things and they're amazing, just like the devices that we're using to do this. However, the best of the best, perfect, or the perfection of this dunya, it comes through revelation. So as we take the science of the Nafs, psychology and behavioral change framework to our lives, what I do is that I focus on helping you. I focus on sharing this with you, because if you get to change your life, then you get to impact your family life. If you get to impact your family life, you get to impact your clients, the people that you work with, your colleagues. You get to impact the world. We create social change by changing ourselves and being the change in the world. This is my compelling future. In my mind, like, this compels me. This gets me excited. This makes me want to do these videos. This makes me want to jump out of bed. This makes me want to take action. So you can see that if you were struggling with change, then you don't have a compelling future. So create a compelling future that actually gets you excited and jumping out of your skin to actually do the things that you love, and you will take action. That's number one. Number two, you need community, because we require social support. Now, that doesn't mean that you need everyone to love you, you need everyone to accept you and everyone to praise you. You don't need that. That is not what you need. What you need is you need to be around people to help you to grow. You see, one of the things that the hadith that comes to mind is the man who killed 99 people, right? We know this hadith, one of the advices that he got was, go to a different land, leave this place where you're committing all these crimes, go to a place where you're surrounded by people who are in a state of righteousness, doing good that pleases Allah. And why is that even the case? Why do we need that? We need that because we need social support. We need to be in the momentum of growth. Being in the company of people that are growing helps you and keeps you motivated to keep on growing. You have the same purpose-driven goals. Now, purpose-driven goals means that your purpose and someone else's purpose may be the same at the level of why we were created, but your purpose, your mission in life is not the same. The way that I establish my purpose and mission in life is not the same as someone else, right? So in order to actually really have that support system, we just need to be in the environment where other people are doing the same thing. They have the same aspirations. They want to grow. They want to flourish. And this helps us to live our best lives. You will create your best life. You will live on purpose, and you will create the greatness that you can create, because Allah created us to be leaders, right? Allah created us to be leaders, the best of the best. Now, if you have to lead in the world, you have to lead your own mind. That's the key. That's the key. So this takes us on to number 3. The third thing is leadership is required. Now, when I say leadership, I'm talking about you must lead yourself. You must lead your own life. If you don't lead your own life and you're forever waiting for someone else to save you, someone else to do all of the stuff, then what's going to happen is you're going to be waiting forever, because everyone is trying to take care of their own affairs, which is the way that Allah created us. Like, save yourselves and your families. So if you're going to save yourself and your family, you've got to save yourself first. That's the prime directive. Right? So what do? We focus in this leadership model that I teach, the science of the nafs. This is leadership of your mind, your emotions, your psychology, effectively, your behavior, your perception and your vision of the future. And we create real strategies to make your life happen. Right? How do we do this? We use divine revelation. We use like principles that we extract from the Quran and Sunnah. This is what essentially the science of the Nafs Psychology is. These are principles that we use. So what you want to do, to keep it simple, what you want to do is you want to start to take ownership of your mind, emotions, behaviors. If you take ownership of your mind, emotions, and behaviors, what's going to happen is that you're going to create new results. You're going to create new results because you get to lead your mind, which is essentially the steering wheel for your life. If you can lead your mind, you will lead your entire life. This is so powerful. I cannot emphasize enough how this is the most important thing. In fact, if you've skipped everything else that I've taught in this video, then this is the one thing that you need to not forget. Your mind is the steering wheel of your life. If you want to create different results in your life, it's your mind that you need to take control of. This is the absolute fundamental of mental health, emotional health, behavioral health, relationship health, wealth health. Like, if you want to make wealth, if you want to flourish in your business, your mind is the key to that. So this is why I teach my coaches, my therapists, the people, my students, homeschooling parents, lawyers, accountants, teachers, you name it, people like you. We become the best that we can be. When you are willing to lead yourself, you will transform your life and you will live a mission of a life. You see, my mission in, these 3 things are what I focus my life on. Like, I have a compelling vision. The vision is ultimately the reason I set up the Muslim Life Coach Institute. The reason I set it up was to teach the science of the nafs, because it's not just a therapy. It's not just a psychology. It's a growth and optimization set of tools found in the Quran and Sunnah. And when we take that and we apply it, it's not about learning more Islamic education. It's about learning how to apply it so we can get practical results, real life results, tangible stuff that you can see. And at the same time, the most important part of that is that your heart feels content. Your heart feels that security. You feel that you are doing good. You stop, being apathetic. You stop being bored. You stop being angry and frustrated. You stop being anxious, and you start to take ownership of your life. These 3 things will change your life. Taking total ownership is what we call leadership. This is taking leadership of your mind, your emotions, your behaviors, and then showing up as the best version of you. When you show up as the best version of you and you have that compelling future, then what's going to happen is you're going to jump out of bed every day to create those results. Now, listen, I know that you may be listening to this thinking, but I don't have this. I don't have the drive. I don't have the energy. I don't have the motivation. It's because you have not yet directed your mind. I gave you 3 things. Leadership was the last. But leadership is leadership of the mind. When you can lead your mind, your emotions, your whole life changes. This is the key. If you want to unlock your motivation, unlock your drive, you'll never be stuck, because your mind is the key to this life. It's the key to Jannah. And this is why belief is tantamount to getting into the Akhirah, into Jannah, right? So your mind is the key. And if you are ready to up-level your life, then you need to be taking action on these things. Like, start in reverse order. Start with the mind, because that will solve all of it. It will give you the compelling vision, it will give you the behaviors that you need, and ultimately it will help you get in amongst the people that will drive you forward. And inshallah, I'm going to leave you on that. Jazakum'Allahu. Hey guys, thanks for listening in on this podcast. If you are ready to up-level your mind, emotions, and relationships using a Quranic solution, you're going to love this podcast and what we are going to be sharing over the coming episodes. This is the most fundamental training that you're going to go through in your life. You can use it to transform your life, your mental and emotional health, your relationships, how you parent, how you are in your marriage, and truly your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you are loving this and you want more of it, click subscribe, or if you want one of our free trainings, go to themuslimlifecoach.org and sign up for the free training. You're going to love it. I'll see you on the inside. Jazakum'Allahu.